Hey garden friends, so I'm in the garden. Today it's really cold. I can't feel my ears and my eyes are watering something fierce. We've had some really nice sunny weather for the past couple of days and we do not have that pleasure today. But that is not going to stop me because there are some plants that I picked up and baby, I need to get them in the ground. So I'm going to turn the camera around, show you what we've got. If you like cats, you like coastal gardening, woodland gardening, follow along. We are in a kind of moderate size, kind of typical British garden. We grow, and its climate is probably similar to USDA zone 99A, but we get a little bit more moisture and a little bit more cloud cover, and we get so much wind because the sea is literally like not even a mile that way. So follow along and hopefully you don't get too bored, but I'm going to show you some of the plants that we picked up. Some of them have been on my list. I've been wanting them for a really long time, so I'm really excited about those. And some of them are just kind of bargain buys that I just picked up because they were a really good deal. And if you haven't gone to the garden center lately, now is the perfect time to do. There are a lot of them. I think like Heuchera is doing like a 50% off sale for some of their shrubs, or like half price, and it's really cool. So hopefully you get a chance to get out in your garden. You will see my cool cat Keith somewhere in the garden. He's probably pestering the neighbor. We're getting free food. Last time he came back with a sausage. Who gives a cat a sausage? Anyways, follow along and I'm going to turn the camera over and show you what we get up to. Why are you back? Are you back? What'd you get up to? You patrolling? Boop? You patrolling? Well, he came back. Sure enough, he was over the fence. I'm sure he got a lovely dinner. So let's show you some of these plants that we have. So there are 3 heucheras. We'll start with those. So the 3 heucheras that I have picked up, so I picked up Heucherella Peach tea. This is a slightly, it's slightly smaller than the iced tea, if you've seen that one. But Heucherella is basically a cross between Heuchera and tiarella. If you haven't seen either of those, they're a really kind of fun, all year round kind of color plant. They do go a little bit insipid during winter, but I've got loads of these dotted around the garden and I absolutely love them. Now, one of the things that you want to be mindful of when you're planting these is that eventually they work themselves out of the ground and they can die. All you have to do is every kind of year or so, you'll see at the base, they just get kind of longer and longer. And all you have to do is basically kind of dig it up and bury it a little bit further back into the soil. You can also divide it. So the first one that I'm going to show you is the Heucherella Peach tea. What a cute name. So the Heucherella Peach tea looks something like this. Now this doesn't look very inspiring at the minute, but it's got plenty of new growth. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just not in its, kind of prime. You can see it's got that kind of peach undertone under the leaves, and it's got a little bit of kind of multicolors. I'll show you a few other varieties, but the other ones that I picked up. So this one looks a little bit more kind of healthy, has a little bit more kind of vigor still left in it. But the great thing about these is that these were over 6 pounds, and I picked them up for £1 each. So I picked up 3 of the peach teas because that's all they had. So I got everything that they had. So I picked up 3 of the peach teas. The other one that I want to talk about is the tiarella. So before I do that, these will probably get between 10 to 30 centimeters kind of round. So they're not overly massive and they're really easy to tuck in. And apparently the peach trees can take full sun. So we will see. Not everything that says that it can take full sun actually takes full sun. So I've got those. And then the other one, which I'm going to show you, is actually a tiarella. So this one is a tiarella sugar and spice. Now I did have a couple of other varieties. I think I had Pink Symphony and I loved them because they can grow in more shade. But I think I let the slugs destroy them. I didn't intervene quick enough. So I'm trying to build up my collection of tiarella again. So I thought this one was a really kind of fun variety. And you can see the flowers, people tend to grow these more for the foliage rather than the actual flowers, but the flowers are really cute and actually the bees do like them. So this one, sugar and spice, this one will get not a massive size, so similar to the other one, maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact. But this is what sugar and spice looks like. So it's got this really kind of lovely mottled variegation to the leaves. And it's, again, this is so easy to tuck into the garden. And I also got it for £1, and there's nothing wrong with it. Love it. Love a bargain. And the last kind of Heuchera that I picked up, or the Heuchera tiarella that I picked up, this one, I just kind of picked up its name. This one's called Changling, and I just like that just for the kind of folklore connotations that has. But this is kind of really fun. It's got, again, this really fun variegation, this kind of sugary plum to, pale pink to kind of green. And it's got a little bit of kind of chartreuse color to it. So if the tag is to be believed, this is it now. So you can see the majority of the foliage has been cut back, but it does still have a lot of fresh new growth around the crown. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this one. And this one I'm going to put probably in a little bit more shade. So I'm going to tuck these around the garden. So I'll show you where those are going. On a side note, I did have the Heucherella iced tea, and iced tea is quite a big one. But again, I don't know if that's going to come back because I think the slugs kind of got at it. Now, the other things I'm going to touch on briefly because they were on the previous video. So is this one here. So this one is a conifer. This one is chamaecyparis, and the color or the range is called rubicon. Chamaecyparis does a really kind of cool thing in that some of them actually change color in the winter. So in the winter, in the colder months, it gets this kind of reddish burnt looking effect to it. It's not burnt, there's nothing wrong with it. This is absolutely how it's supposed to look. Now this one can get probably around about 2.4 meters tall. It probably grows about maybe 10 to 15 centimeters a year, and it's a really soft. If you think conifers are prickly and kind of uncomfortable, that is a big kind of misconception, because actually a lot of these are really soft and they're easy to clip, they're easy to keep the size maintained, and rubicon is one that I'm really excited about. Now the other one that I have, if you hear a bell, that is the harbor bell in the back going off. It was so windy last night, so it was going off all night. So the other one that I have is Chamaecyparis columnaris. Now, in a couple of my previous videos, I've talked about some of the Chamaecyparises that I have. It's probably my favorite conifer because it is really soft, but I have a lot of them in a lot of different varieties, and I'm always looking for blue colors. Now, I also find that the Chamaecyparis blue foliage plants are more robust than the piceas that are blue, so the kind of like blue spruces. And what I mean by that is that these can take a little bit more shade. So I actually have one, let me turn the camera around. So I have one here. So this is Chamaecyparis Pembury Blue, and it's relatively new, and it's going to be kind of a little bit more fat, but it does have a columnar shape. And that blue foliage is just really absolutely lovely. And I also have another Chamaecyparis in the back, and you can see I've got a few conifers ducked around. So this one I'm really excited about. Now this one can get up to 4 meters tall, and it's a relatively fast grower for a conifer in that it will probably put on, if it's liking its conditions, around 25 to 30 centimeters a year. This can also get up to 1 meter wide. I have no intention of letting it get that big because, again, I am in a moderate sized garden, so I'm going to keep this one kind of pruned. And let me just pan here. At some point in my dream of dreams, this will be a greenhouse. I've covered up all of the grass so that none of the grass comes through because I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And all of this was grass, by the way. And we have basically removed every single bit of grass apart from that back section back here, which is on the list for this summer to kind of get rid of. And in this, I've got an Omaruka spruce. So just here, let me just see if I can turn you up. So this is the Omaruka spruce that I've got on this corner. I've got a ginkgo biloba on this corner, and I've got, on the other corner, I've got a Tibetan cherry. But I did kind of think that this would be nice to kind of tuck back on that side and give that hint of blue to really just kind of cross-pollinate your eye throughout the space with some of that lovely blue foliage. So if we look back at some of the plants that we've got as well, we've got another conifer that I want to get into the ground. This one, I'm a sucker for variegated plants. This one is quite a wee little thing. You can see it here. This is also another chamaecyparis, but I want you to look at this. Do you see the blue scales underneath? Can you see that? It's so soft, and if you can get a magnifying glass and just really look in this, it's beautiful. So the inner of this is blue, and then it kind of fades to this kind of pale, kind of creamy green. And this is one that's going to be wider than it is tall, or as tall as it is wide. So this kind of has like a spreading habit. It can get quite a decent size on it. I think this one, realistically, I want to keep it around 3 feet by 3 feet. So not really a ball, but like a deflated ball. And it grows about 15 to 20 centimeters, but the variegation is absolutely lovely. And in my long woodland border, which you can just see part of this, I actually think it's going to help tie in some of the other variegated plants that I have in the back. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm really excited about the conifers. And to be honest, I don't know if I can fit any more conifers in the garden. So every time I go to the garden center, I say no more trees, no more shrubs, no more conifers, perennials, get annuals, get bulbs. I always come back with more shrubs. We're going to have to buy a new house. So the last thing that not the last thing, I've got 3 more things to take you through. The last thing that I have is bronze fennel. This was regular £5, and I picked it up for £1. And it's seen better days, but this is absolutely fine. Now, I'm not really growing this to eat, but I mean, if I eat it, that's a bonus. I just really like the bronze fennel mixed into garden beds where I've seen it. It's got this really kind of very soft asparagus fern texture. I don't know if you can see it. And it takes on this bronze coloration. And actually it gets quite tall. It gets well over 1 meter tall. I think it's like 1 to 2 meters depending on its condition. And it has these kind of really fun yellow flowers in the summer, autumn. So this is something that I'm quite excited to put into the garden. Just kind of tuck it in the back because I think it's going to have good movement in the wind. And I think also as well, there's a couple of insects that this is a kind of a host plant for. So I'm going to have to look it up and put it on the screen because I have forgotten. So I'm really excited about this one. Now, I'm going to show you. Do not judge me, okay, please. This is a cutting of saxifrage. So you can see the saxifrage in the bottom. Yes, it is very dried out. Yes, there's another plant in here that's almost dead. But fear not, my friends, because there is some green shoots in here. So I'm just going to tuck this into the garden. Just tuck it around somewhere. Eventually, this is going to be, just a bit of ground cover. Both of these prefer shade. So I'm just going to kind of tuck it in somewhere and let it do its thing. If it makes it great, I'll spread it around. If it doesn't, well, it was already dying. But this was a fun experiment to just kind of, it's always nice to kind of see what you can propagate and what you can kind of split from a division. Now, the last 2 things that I want to talk about are osmanthus. Now, I've got a good collection of osmanthus, but in case you don't know, osmanthus is an evergreen shrub. There are, it's quite a wide genus in that there's a lot of different species within this across the world, and I really like this plant. Mr. Maude likes this plant too, and it comes in a couple of different styles. Now, I actually have another 3 or 4 that are being delivered, which will probably bump our collection of osmanthus up to about 10, so 10 different species. So I'm really excited about this. Number 1, the fragrance is amazing, and depending on the species, they will kind of bloom in the kind of autumn, kind of summer, spring, winter time. So I'm really excited to see these go. I also like the evergreen color. I also like that it's a bit prickly, so this is going to provide a little bit more kind of biomass and give the kind of birds and that a little bit more protection. And maybe, God, I would love to have a hedgehog. So if I've got more kind of things and places for it to hide, that would be ideal. But apart from anything, I just really like the fragrance of the flowers. And a long-term goal for me is to make some osmanthus wine, which I'm so excited about. But I have nowhere near enough of the kind of flower volume that I think I'd need to do that. But I've got enough species and they're a little bit small and they will fill in. So the first one that I'm going to take you through is osmanthus heterophyllus, goshiki. Sometimes this is called a false holly because it does have a very holly shape. They're a little prickly, but they're not that bad. They're relatively soft. Well, I say they are, and they do have flowers. And this one is a variegated variety. I had it under a grow light, so it doesn't have as much variegation as probably I think it normally would. But I'm really excited about this one because I'm actually going to put this in the woodland border. It takes part shade to sun. So I think it's perfect to kind of squeeze this in. So I'm actually going to be popping this one into the garden. So I'll show you where I'm putting all of these and then get them in the ground. But this is goshiki. So it's a variegated osmanthus. So it's osmanthus heterophyllus goshiki. Now, the other one that I had on my list to buy, and I didn't see it in any of the garden centers until this spring. This is another heterophyllus. So this is osmanthus heterophyllus ogon. And look at that color variegation. So this is not iron deficient. This is exactly how this is supposed to look. And that color, that yellow chartreuse color, I really love this color because I think it really charges the garden up, especially when you've got varying kind of mid colors of green. You can see I've got some chartreuse and some of the ogon grasses in the back, but I'm really excited about this one. I might even be able to divide this one into two. This one's more of a pancake shape in terms of growth. I think it'll probably get around about 3 foot by 3 foot. And again, I can prune these, but I think this will just be a really nice kind of architectural evergreen color with the benefit that it does flower for both me and the insects. So really excited about this one. And some of the osmanthus that I already have in the ground, I got an osmanthus heterophyllus. It's purple. So it's not purpurescence. Might be purpurescence. So it looks very similar to ogon, but it's got purple new growth and the stems are a bit darker. And I have an osmanthus just tucked here in the back, so just behind some of these grasses. That one's going to get a little bit bigger. That one is osmanthus, I think delavayi. I'll have to put it up on the screen because I never can pronounce that one. And I also have an osmanthus davidii, which is just here. And that one looks like it's actually about to flower. It's been a really, really nice evergreen. And am I missing any other ones? I think I'm missing a few other varieties. And I have another one coming, so you'll have to kind of follow along to see what that looks like. There are much bigger varieties. So there's probably about 2 or 3, 4 more that are coming. So I'm excited about that. So anyways, I'm going to turn the camera around and get it set up. And I'm going to show you where these are all going in the garden. And you can tell me what you think. Okay, everyone. So that is everything for today. I'm actually quite tired, and I ended up doing more than well, we ended up doing. Not, I mean, here's Keith. We ended up doing more than what I bargained for, which is always the way it goes. But I forgot about the cold, and I'm actually quite warm now. And I had a really good time. So even though the sun wasn't out, it was kind of okay. And so some of the things that you saw us do, so we cut back some of the grasses and some of the perennials. You know, they're starting to get a bit of green around the bottom, so I think it's the right time to do that. And actually, some of the grasses I probably left a little bit late to cut back because I cut through some of the green. Especially the Sabrina grass in the back that gets really tall, but that's okay. I also dug up some Euphorbia minors Merlot that was probably in a little bit too much shade and put that in a more kind of shady space, and it's a really nice kind of plant because it's more or less evergreen, and you know, it's kind of all year round interest, and it doesn't seem to get as leggy as some of the other Euphorbias, so it doesn't seem to mind some of the kind of heavier, you know, more fed soil. But there's one that I haven't moved. Keith keeps waiting on it. Just gonna leave it there. It used to look really pretty, but he said it started marking it, so it is what it is. But I managed to get everything in the ground apart from the tiarella. There's Keith now. So we got the tiarella in, and also I dug up the Salvia greggii joy. I want to put that in the ground. I'm just not sure where. So there's one of the beds that I want to rework, but I am not doing that today. That's too big of a project. And I want to kind of fill it up with some other perennials. But I think that's everything. So hopefully you enjoyed following along with us and seeing what we did. And next time we've got more plants to plant. And actually there's a bit of a building project that I'm looking forward to. So if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and follow along. And I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye.